Death
but
is cool.
only when it's compounded with metal at the end of it.
That's right. That's right. That is some topical shit right there.
Talk about a transition.
That's right. What's up,
This,
y'all?
how you doing, everyone? This is Cinematic Suffering.
That is
Uh,
us.
we're your hosts. I'm Clay,
I'm Jason.
and welcome.
We're switching it up.
We're
They're
switching
switching it
it
up.
up.
I identify as Jason this week.
Yeah. I identify as Clay. I'm very,
Yes,
I'm very focused on getting my artwork out for everyone to see.
yes, and you have to be like me, so I don't see any red wine. So you're already falling short.
Yeah,
Even though I'm not drinking red wine tonight. See, it's
these are my little doodles right now.
oh,
I'm trying
those
to make,
are
trying
yeah.
to make a, I'm trying to create a Devil's Concerto on a slip of paper here, and those
Don't
were.
do it. Don't do it. You'll grow big, fakey looking rubber horns out of the top of your head.
Oh, is that where they were growing from? Yeah, so we did. We watched death metal. We've watched death metal several times now. Um, this has been a kind of a cool little special project that I've been working on since probably May, April.
It seems like not long after we kicked off the kind of the reboot of the show, I would say it's kind of always been here, but Jason and I had a long hiatus. We got back into it as a YouTube channel, and not long after we had some content under our belt, Mike how do you? I don't want to.
Kuciak, Kuciak,
Kuciak,
yeah,
Mike Kuciak, the director of Death Metal, reached out to us and said, "You guys should feature my movie." And we were both thinking like, well, I hope you don't regret that, because our shtick is to make fun of everything that we watch, whether we like it or not. We savagely roast it. That's kind
yeah.
of our deal. But he's a good sport. He wanted us to do it. He originally sent us a DVD. We are technologically unequipped to deal with physical media, so we waited until it came out on Amazon. We
Yeah.
bought it, as so should you. Legally buy your movies, you
Yeah.
thieving pirates. And yeah, and it's been kind of a journey, because as you might imagine, if you're going to write scripted jokes in the style of MST3K, you have to watch the movie multiple times. And
Yeah.
we've seen this Joker no fewer than 6 or 7 times
Yeah,
now
yeah,
each.
it's been a pretty high number count on the amount of times we watched it, and the death metal turned out to be one of those movies. Upon first watching it, where you're just like, you do the moan and groan, because it's
Yeah.
obviously a low budget feature, and there's some odd choices happening throughout, and you have this initial reaction to it, like I imagine people reacted to The Room like that. I know we keep bringing up The Room, but that's kind of like the baseline for really bad horror movies, or not bad horror movies, just weird bad movies in general, right? Um, and then watching it a couple of times even more, you on more watch times of The Room, you start to love it a little bit more, because then
Yeah.
you start seeing the craziness and the insanity of what it is. And although that wasn't necessarily death metal wasn't. I mean, it was crazy and insanity per the script and the visuals. You just start seeing the charm of it the more you start watching it.
Yeah, you really do. In a way, I'm kind of glad that we did have to. Well, we didn't have to do anything. We
Yeah,
chose to, for it to be one of the movies that we've written scripted jokes for. So we chose to watch it multiple times, and I'm glad for that, because I think I appreciated it more than if we had just kind of watched through it once. I probably would have been kind of dismissive about it. But the more times I watched it, the more I started to think like, warts and all, I kind of love this silly movie.
yeah,
And maybe, is it silly? Is it really? Is
yeah.
it? Does it know what it's doing? Does it successfully walk the line between self satire and comedy and horror, which is, as we know, is a very tricky tightrope to walk, and it can kind of tip either way in a way that kind of undermines the movie. What's a good example? Basically, any horror comedy in the '80s
Yeah.
flirted with that line. So
Yeah, and let's talk about the riff that we did. Now, if anybody's watched this, watched our series so far, you know we do riff tracks, MST3K. We don't show the movie; we just put the time stamps so you can follow along if you own the movie. And most of our riffing is purely off the cuff. It's improvised, and that seemed to work a lot. The only problem with improvisation is that Clay and I tend to sometimes talk over each other, especially
Right.
when something really nice and chunky comes on
It's like,
on the
ooh, I
screen.
got a good one.
I got a good one. We both kind of like hit each other at the same time. So the first time we did was the first really kind of half written improv was Devil's Island,
That's right.
which was it was just it begged to be riffed for one, but it begged for us to give it a try on actually sitting down and writing stuff out for it. I want to say, Clay, you did a hell of a lot of heavy lifting on that one. You did a lot of writing. I came in and maybe added my 2 cents. And then when we watched it, of course, we improv quite a few things, but it certainly wasn't the most perfect riff. We got lines wrong. We would realize we were mistaken about certain things and realize it's a tough process. It's
Oh, it is.
yeah. So with death metal, we wanted to do something a little bit more special. We wanted to really, and we did. We went through and practiced the lines. We realized what couldn't fit, you know, and we even went back and re-recorded several things to kind of fit in where we into the narrative where we actually wanted it to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it was a tough one because Devil's Island was easier in a way because there were such long stretches where the characters weren't saying much. So it was very generous in that way that
yeah,
it gave us the breathing room to write our jokes and insert them into the narrative. Death metal is a very talky movie in a way. I don't want to. There's a lot of dialogue, and the character interaction is one of the things that I've ended up liking about it. It's kind of one of its strengths. So when your timing has to be perfect to get in there in the right spot and deliver the line in a way that's actually funny. And when you're whether it's successful or not, I'll let y'all judge it. But when you're doing a riff like that, it becomes kind of a third work in and of itself in a
yeah.
way. It's so you're trying to be entertaining. Sometimes you're busted on the movie more than it even deserves in a way. I've noticed that it's like like some of the jokes, it was just too good of a joke to not do. It's like, where did he go? Into a better movie, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah. No,
I,
no, go on, please.
no, I was going to say, like, I said that because it was like I wrote that line because it was a good joke more than I really felt it was a bad
Yeah, yeah. There's some swings we take, and it's.
movie.
I mean, Mike. I don't think Mike's seen the actual. Well, he hasn't seen the riff because we haven't put it up yet as of this
Yeah,
recording. But that's the first thing we want to encourage everyone is just go to that riff. Buy either you go on deathmetalmovie.com. Is that the
I believe that's it. Yeah, I think that's correct.
death
Like we
metal
can check that
movie?
out.
Let me just make sure that's
It's deathmetalhorrormovie.com, I
death metal horror
believe.
movie. Yeah.
That's
So
correct.
yeah.
Deathmetalhorrormovie.com.
So you can go buy you can watch it on Tubi for free, which is lame because it's Tubi kind of sucks. I'm not a fan of it, even though it has a ton of horrible movies on there. Um, the you can also purchase it on Amazon for $10, or you can get it straight from Mike himself through deathmetalhorrormovie.com and pay like $10 for the DVD, Blu-ray signed, and even get a Abbas Sinister shirt thrown in there if you want to buy that too. So
And
that's the
I
that's
ordered two of them because I know a good deal when I see one.
yeah. I ordered it. I bought it. I bought it on Amazon, and then I just ordered straight through him a shirt and a Blu-ray copy. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that there we're gonna have. So yeah, we're pushing that riff. So I encourage anyone to get the movie and watch it and follow along with our riffs. That we also did an interview with Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it was like we talked to him, more or less for an hour. I don't think that the actual interview is going to edit down to that long, but we talked to him for about an hour, and it just flew right by. And he was just such a nice, affable guy, and yeah, that's why, like, if you're watching this as a review, I'll tell you, I'll be honest, I'm incapable of giving you a very kind of rigorous, like a sanitary review of this movie, because I do feel kind of close to it, and I do
Yeah.
appreciate Mike for coming and talking to us. So if you want me to distill it down into an easy thing, I like death metal a lot, and I still do. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm gonna rewatch it again too many. I'll probably rewatch it again soon, because I genuinely want to watch the riff from beginning to end that we worked so hard on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it was a great conversation. I mean, when you talk about the nuts and bolts of a movie, I am obsessed with the practical effects in a movie. If I could
Yeah.
go back in time and do it all over again, not that I regret my life decisions, but I would have loved to have gotten into practical effects. I was obsessed with Tom Savini as a young man. I watched all the documentaries that I could of him. I loved Rick Baker, like all those classic,
Yeah,
um,
Stan
you know,
Winston and
yeah, Tipton, all those guys are just like, there's just something so special and fascinating about practical effects. And I every time I watch a new horror movie that has a CGI critter in them, I'm like,
yeah.
it'd be better if there was a guy in a suit. So
Yeah, I think I mean that's another thing that's endearing about death metal is that there is use of some CGI. I think they're more just like kind of in camera effects or just some after stuff that you just kind of put on there. But all of the creature effects are real. They're practical. I mean,
yeah.
when you see maggots fall on the ground in a bunch of headphones, those are real maggots on the ground. Those aren't some weird computer effect.
Right, right. And it's like one of the endearing things about independent horror movies is that you get a chance to like laugh at some of the strings that you can see too.
Yeah.
Like one of the characters turns into a demon, and Mike told us during the interview he wears his influences on his sleeves, and you can see the movie Demons all over
Oh
death
yeah.
metal. And like at one point, a character turns into the iconic demon, and the horns are so bouncy and not
Yeah.
horn like. It's
Yeah.
endearing to me. But yeah,
No,
go ahead.
no, yeah, and that's what makes it, so great. It makes it brings some humor to it, even though I don't think that scene was meant to have that much humor to it. Uh, but let's just go back and start from the beginning
Sure.
of the movie. So, death metal wants to live up to its name right from the start. So we
Yeah.
open up with one of the most classic death metal bands in the U.S. at least is Incantation,
Yes. Yeah.
and
They're right up there with Cannibal Corpse when it comes to just seminal friggin' death metal.
yeah. And yeah, so it's like a whole live performance of them at the Agora Theater. I think that's in Cincinnati,
I believe
Ohio.
so.
Yeah,
Yep.
somewhere around there.
The whole thing
And
was filmed in Ohio.
that's true. Okay, yeah. And yeah, so we get to see the entire song from this live performance while the credits roll, and we're getting the flavor of what we're going to be witnessing. And it's kind of like this serious, ooh, dun, dun, dun. It's really powerful. It's a great song. I can't remember what the name of the song off my head it just is, but we kind of transition from that to uh, the folks in this fictional metal band called Abba Sinister.
Yeah, and I don't remember them. I should have written them down, but I was trying to think of a comparably silly names for a band. You could do like Satanlicious or Demononificationinator or something like.
No, yeah. So we get to see Abyss Sinister. I keep wanting to say Abyssinator, and I even said that during our when we were trying to riff. I could not get that fucking line.
Abby Sinister. And what's funny is they even make a joke about it within the movie. Is
Yeah,
Kyle from Incantation is giving the band a bunch of shit. Like, what's your name again? Abba
Abyss
who? Abba
Sinister,
Dingo? Abba.
Abyss
You got
Sinister. Yeah,
yeah.
he's like Abba, and then we were just like uh a butt smeller or something like that.
Well, and what I found in hindsight funny about that scene of and you could probably elaborate on this. I don't know if flicking just an unnecessary amount of shit at the band. And like I'm just now thinking about this. Why the hell was Incantation opening up for Abba Sinister
Oh, right,
anyway?
right, yeah, yeah. That's a good thing. Now this I could probably explain a little bit, that, my band Gravehill has been offered headlining positions before when we know full and well the band that would play before us is the one that draws, you know?
Yeah. So
But
you're gonna have like half a crowd then, because
yeah,
everybody's gonna
yeah.
leave.
I don't know. Sometimes I think it's just a big ego boost to younger bands that think, "Oh, we're gonna headline this! I can't believe they want us to headline." And then you just see the band that's playing before you is Cannibal Corpse or
It's
or
like
Incantation. You're like, "Oh no,
you're rushing to the mic, guys. Please stay. Please stay. Please stay.
yeah,
Please stay.
don't leave just yet." So
Our bassist is a hot chick and she wears pasties. Please stay. Please stay.
yeah, and so yeah, I didn't even really think about that. I think we might have touched upon it before when we're just talking privately, but that was pretty odd and funny at the same time. Uh,
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's one of the it's written into the movie. It's not like this was accidental comedy. Is we're meant to kind of pity the band, and like we're brought into the woes of the band. You've got Ivan, who's the just such the archetype of the lead singer, and the well, he's not the lead
he-
singer; he's the lead guitarist of the
yeah,
band, and he's just like you can tell that he's got it, all the performances I thought were pretty damn good. Even the ones that were the some of the best ones are the ones that are accidentally funny to me, but
yeah,
like the just the band turmoil, like we're dealing with the egomaniac,
yeah.
band leader to the guy that's like
The school
just
teacher that changed his name officially to Baphomet. It was such an exaggeration of everything that bands go through, and that's what was really cool about it, is, like, these are all experiences that even though I haven't had all this shit happen to me all at once, it's happened to me in pieces.
yeah.
Even to me kinda being the egomaniac, at times, and, I could feel right at home with what Mike was doing with these scenes of this torment this poor band was going through.
Well, what was funny is like from the very beginning, the incantation dudes are fucking with them about not being able to understand what their name is. What is it again? Have a poo, have what? And they're like, oh yeah. And then they go off into this long diatribe about what a bunch of screw ups they are and how they had this disastrous tour in Europe. And there's some vague mention of a chick in Greece that must have gave everybody syphilis or something. And I thought it was pretty funny. It's like you don't know their name, but you know every bit of trivia about what a bunch of screw ups they are.
Right, yeah. And I thought one of my favorite lines was that, when, the bassist Chuck Sherwood of, Incantation, he goes, "Oh, well, what's your name?" And the guy's like, "Baphomet." He's like, "What?" He goes, "Oh, my name's Baphomet." And he's like, "Of course it is." And I was just rolling. I was like, "Yeah, that's a good that's a good line. Of course it is." And you go, you gotta remember, Abba Sinister has all the corpse paint on. They're all dressed up, about to go on stage, so they look absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, they look like Halloween. It looks like Party City costumes,
Yeah.
which I think was intentional. But you know, what's funny from talking to Mike is that he either claimed or he was just being totally earnest that he wasn't very familiar with Rock and Roll Nightmare, and it was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, but you you accidentally made the sequel to it, buddy. It's like.
It's a
Um,
worthy sequel for sure if it is.
it's like honestly, if they had said like if they had called this movie Rock and Roll Nightmare 2, I would have been like, well, it's almost kind of like the way that the contemporary Evil Dead movies are in the spirit of Evil Dead, but they're
Yeah,
not starring the same people. I would have
right.
totally bought it. And I'm not saying that the two works are that similar, but the
Yeah.
the spirit of it is definitely there. There's a lot of rock and roll, a lot of metal for all of its goods and bads and in betweens and a lot of horror that's is sometimes comedy accidentally.
Right, yeah. Now, I think, another unspoken thing in the movie was that Abba Sinister was kinda on a mid-level where they're not just a regular local act, they do have some notoriety in the scene, it's just that they just, been going through all these troubles. The Europe thing is, they don't really touch on it a lot, but something happened in Europe that really toasted their careers, it felt like. And they're just coming back to the States. They're going to play their first show in who knows how long. Again, this is all unspoken. This is what I'm forming in my head from everything that happened in the movie. And it's a complete and utter disaster when they go up on stage. Right when it feels like they're about to do it, Caton, the vocalist, I think he actually starts singing. You start hearing some kind of stuff, and all of a sudden you hear this heckler. Everyone leaves, and then this heckler stays and just starts yelling beans. And another iconic moment in death metal. This guy.
Yeah, it just totally. And I, as a like, again, you could probably speak to this a lot more than I can. That felt so real or so genuine in some ways, that something like that has happened to somebody at some point, is just like, to where what little momentum you had was just sucked away in one by one asshole. And it kind of makes me think, like, man, I've been that dickhead before. Like, like the first time I saw your band play live, I feel bad about it in hindsight. I was fucking with the opening band like so hard. I mean, because it was just like, they just didn't have the stage presence of a metal band. Technically, they were really good, but they just all seemed like, manic depressive stepdads or something. And like the lead singer would be like, we're from Southern California. And I'd be like, I thought you were from Northern California. And he's like, no, we're from Southern California.
He's just addressing you in a normal voice. It's like, is this next song is no, blowing the winds out of the sails of a young band is something that I personally love doing.
Like, fuck your dreams, man.
But Abyssinated, what is it? Abyss Sinister. Abyss Sinister.
Just think ABBA, like
ABBA Sinister. I got it. Yeah, okay, you got it. All right. So Abyss Sinister is it does have some leverage. They get some kind of gig with a professional music producer, someone who's always been people been wanting to work with him for a lot. The enigmatic Fleming.
Oh, yes, who's is hands down my favorite character in a movie that's rich in favorite characters, is played by this dude Ray Goodwin. Which, looking at his IMDb credits, they're all stunt work. So I'm sure he's done acting before, but he was front and center in this movie. He was the Obi-Wan Kenobi of death metal.
I wanted to mention something, and I didn't get a chance to during our interview with Mike, but Ray has a connection to the director of Last Shift.
Oh, really?
He played a stunt coordinator or a stunt player on the movie Malum, which is basically a remake of Last Shift. And I thought, oh, that's how coincidental that, a movie, I guess it's not that. I mean, it's all underground horror, right? But I'm sure that it's very incestuous with who they use and everything. But it was really kind of cool. Just a little bit of trivia there.
Oh yeah, that is. And we went in pretty hard on Last Shift, as I recall.
Oh yeah. We may give Malum a chance to see what he changed, if there's any story changes. So, but enough about that horrible.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Mike Kuciak's work of death metal. But like, I don't want to give away too much of it, because like, I genuinely want you to buy the movie. It's if you're a horror fan and you like independent, like really kind of DIY spirited movies, it's kind of like, it's inspired by all the old like movies that you probably love, like that. If you're a fan of Rock and Roll Nightmare, movies like Trick or Treat, stuff that's got like that wears its heavy metalness on its sleeve,
right,
and allows you the ability to chuckle at it, you should definitely check it out.
Criticisms of the movie, I mean, they're just kind of like basic criticisms of everything we've already pretty much watched, just some of the odd camera choices. I think we kept seeing exterior shots of where they're at consistently, and that became a running joke through our commentary. It was like, yep, still here kind of thing.
I hate to be stringent with a rule of thumb, but an establishing shot, you need one. You don't. I don't need to remind everybody that we're in my house by showing you the front of it
Yeah.
20 times. But there was we made fun of that. Like, well, what other kind of
Well, I
nitpicks did you
I
have?
think one of the things I would have liked to seen was maybe just have a song that was by a fake, because I kind of brought it up near the end of our interview. Is like, hey, when are you going to get the an Abba Sinister, band, ghost band together, so you
Yeah,
can produce some music, maybe have like a little 4-song demo, just get a bunch of musicians together and have them write something that would be in the vein. And I thought that was going to be a part of the movie, that we were going to actually hear some original music from the band, and we didn't actually get to hear that. We heard um, stuff mostly from the Devil's Concerto. But I won't
right.
spoil what all that is. But it's I would have loved to hear some original music when it came from.
Yeah, and it's. I'm sure he doesn't like. I'm sure that most horror directors don't like you to immediately go towards Scooby Doo as a reference, but like Scooby Doo had music in it, and
I know
that
I
there was like accurate to what was going on in the scene.
Yeah. I mean, that may have just been just his production schedule and the money issue and everything, that maybe he just couldn't get all that stuff together. But it's still a dream. It's still hopeful. It's still in the air. I say it's still in the air. You can get some musicians together, get an Abba Sinister, and then you can sell their little demo on your page. So
Yeah, there you go. Like like almost a prequel to death metal.
right,
If I had to pick on it, and like I mentioned, all the obvious stuff is I kind of find to be what makes it charming. So, like the cheap looking special effects, some questionable cinematography here there. I'm not going to fuck with it about that. It's
yeah,
like you got your movie made, awesome. The thing that I would say about it is the main MacGuffin of the movie is the Devil's Concerto. It's basically the Necronomicon of the movie. I felt like it didn't have a hell of a lot of teeth to it. Like it just, kind of with the Necronomicon and the Evil Dead movies, that thing just resonates with evil, having just seen the cover of it.
yeah,
The Devil's Concerto just didn't seem to like there didn't seem to be any kind of reasons for it. It didn't seem to be thought out that well about why it turns everybody evil. The backstory of the lady that appears as a ghost that wrote it doesn't seem to be real fleshed out. I think it would have been kind of cool to see maybe some like real quick backstory of her getting drug out to be burned by the ignorant peasants, or just something to kind of ground it and give it some like meat, just a little bit of more meat on the bone. That's kind of a nitpick, but
yeah.
like the MacGuffin in any horror movie needs to be its own character, and the Devil's Concerto felt like a plot device more than an actual kind of
Yeah.
weighty character within the movie.
Right. Yeah.
For me, the thing that kind of makes me love death metal is the actors that play the characters and the characters themselves. Like if I'm sure that if Mike went back and did a rewrite, he would have punched up some lines here a little bit more. But the dialogue is pretty damn good, and the jokes land without them being really sly and winky at the camera. There weren't these groan worthy fourth wall breaks that you
Yeah.
see in some movies. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
I enjoyed that.
yeah. Our nitpicks are small and few. Big shout out to uh, KateLynn and Shadia Martin, who's a very talented person in her own right. Chris Richards with Baphomet, and Ray Goodwin as Fleming.
Yeah. Ray Goodwin he's if he's not your favorite character, I'd like to hear who is. Yeah. They were all pretty damn good for a kind of for an independent feature like this. He got some pretty talented people in the cast.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's is that about it? I guess.
Go get death metal. Support it. Support the arts. Support indie filmmakers. Get
Yeah,
death
we're gonna
metal.
we're gonna be dropping the death metal content over a few days, so we're not just kind of like just big trauma dumped of videos and podcasts all at once. It's
What was the other one that's kind of like almost the sibling to this movie that we just watched? We're talking about looking at that one in the future.
we're talking After Party Massacre, I think, right?
Yeah, that'd be a fun one. I'd like
Or-
to, take a look at the most recent Jeepers Creepers movie for all
oh
the
yeah,
right/wrong reasons.
Jeepers Creepers
Um,
Reborn. Yeah.
yeah, and hey, we're always open to audience participation. There's something you want us to watch, we'll check it out.
Yeah, and also keeping a lookout for classic episodes dropping on the channel of
Absolutely.
the first 14 episodes that Clay and I did. Um, are really funny. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm biased, of course, but they just keep getting better with um, every interview. And by the end, the last one we do of the old iteration of Cinematic Suffering is probably one of the best. It was funny, but you can tell we're just so absurdly done with going through alphabetical order of Netflix.
Those were fun, and those were audio only. So it's fun to listen back to the genesis of that. Some of our reviews of the movie last almost as long as the movie. So if you're into just kind of putting on a podcast and chuckling along with a couple of horror movie nerds, that's going to be your jam.
Yeah, we do. We specifically go through the movie, step by step from beginning to end, and we put in there's various skits that we do that are in there that we kind of improv at first, and then by near the last couple episodes we're actually writing out skits and putting them in there. So
That's good. It was good fun.
yeah, we're going to try to incorporate more of that stuff with this format too. Just trying to get it in a visual medium is going to be kind of weird, but we'll see. We'll work on it. See what
We're
goes.
creative guys. We'll
Yeah.
come up with something. But
Yeah.
just definitely stick around. We're always cooking up new ideas. We really appreciate your support. Probably should have mentioned it before. Smash the like button, subscribe. That stuff really helps. I know every YouTuber asks for it, but it truly helps grow the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. With that has been Death Metal the review. Definitely encourage, like we said at the beginning, to go out and buy this thing, rent it at the very least, and check it out. Give it a chance, and mostly just watch it with our commentary on it, because it may make especially if you're watching alone, you may make the time pass a little faster.
Yes, I highly encourage you to do just that.
Until next time, thank you, everyone. I'm Clay.
I'm Jason.
I'm actually not Clay.
That's Jason.
Yes, I'm Jason. Yeah, there we go. Thanks for joining us, guys. Talk to you
Peace
later.
out, y'all. Be safe.